Hello everyone. Good morning to all of you and welcome back. I think all of you are safe. Today my class is about second semester and the topic that I will continue is Valediction Forbidding Mourning by Donne. I think I have already discussed the first 4 stanzas. First 4 stanzas. So let me continue onward from the 5th stanzas. Before starting, I should recapitulate that John Donne, or the poet, we should not use the word Donne, we should say poetic persona, although there were certain autobiographical facts behind this. I'll tell you later that the persona is actually bidding farewell but asking the mistress not to cry, not to mourn, because it would be foolish to mourn, because the absence of physical proximity or the physical sense should not be mourned, since their love is not made of physical senses. And that's why Donne compares their love, the poet compares, the persona compares their love rather with the love of the ordinary people. So in a way the poet is differentiating their love with others' love or contemporary ideas of love. Donne's idea of love is rather innovative, a mixture of platonic and physical love. Donne often resorts to strange ideas to explain his ideas of love. As you have seen in our last discussion, Donne has been using astronomical metaphors, some geographical facts, some scientific facts. And today we'll see that he is using alchemical metaphors. Let me resume my discussion. But we, by a love so much refined, notice the word but, is contradicting their love with others' love. He is asserting her, the mistress, that their love is much refined. Now, this sentence can be interpreted in 2 ways. Either their love is refined, much refined, or they are much refined by their love. So it's a mutually contributing aspect, whether they are refined by their love or their love is refined, much refined. Refined is also alchemical metaphor. Refined means refining, purging some elements, purifying some elements. So their love is purified, is refined, pure. That ourselves know not what it is. This is very paradoxical. Their love has become so much refined, or they are so much refined that they fail to recognize, they fail to know what exactly their love is. Ourselves, they themselves know not what it is. This is a strange idea. You know that John Donne belongs to a group called Metaphysical poets. Actually, this term, metaphysical poets, was later applied by the critics, including Samuel Johnson. And you know that John Donne also refers to John Dryden. It was, I think, John Dryden, neoclassical critic and poet also. John Donne has been criticized also by John Dryden. John Dryden said that he affects metaphysics. Affects means a kind of pretense. So he accuses Donne of pretending to use metaphysics. Well, he is not using metaphysics really in reality, but he is. This is an accusation. Notice, this is an accusation, a controversial subject, whether he is a metaphysical poet or not. But we know sure that Donne resorts to strange metaphors, strange signs, strange ideas to explore his ideas of love and personal relationship. You have also seen in the sun rising. So what he says often becomes paradoxical because of his extreme witticism, extreme verbal witticism, and it is one of the features of this metaphysical poetry, using verbal plays, verbal witticism, paradox. In fact, the term conceit comes from concept, which means ideas. So you will find a lot of innovative ideas in this poem as well as in other texts by John Donne. So let me come back to the second line of this fifth stanza. Our love, or we ourselves, are so much refined that we don't know what this love is actually. So if we are refined, we don't know what is our love. And if our love is much refined, we don't know what is our relationship. We don't know in the sense, we can't define. We can't define in general sense as others do. Go to the next line. Inter-assured of the mind. Who are inter-assured of the mind? Obviously we, that is ourselves. We ourselves are inter-assured of the mind. Inter-assured is a very recurring theme in Donne's poetry. Inter-assured means mutually assured. It also refers to the reciprocity of love. In fact, the 2 or 3 songs you have, love lyrics you have in your syllabus by John Donne, most of these songs you will find glorify and celebrate mutual love, which is against the tradition of Petrarchan love. Petrarchan love is almost about unreciprocated love, one-way love, one-sided love. But here, Donne doesn't celebrate one-way love. He celebrates mutual love. And this is one of the very conditions that Donne sets in his love lyrics, that love should be mutually reciprocated, mutually accepted from both ends. You must have remembered the line in Sun Rising. I think it was at the end of the first stanza of the Sun Rising, where he says that love alike knows no season, no climate, if I quote right. Love doesn't know the fragments of time, doesn't recognize time. If it is alike, notice the phrase all alike. And I said that in my earlier lecture, all alike. It's a very interesting term and recurring theme in Donne's poetry. All alike means it should be similar in degree and kind from both ends. So again, the mutual reciprocity of love. Notice, inter-assured of the mind. We are inter-assured of ourselves. We are convinced of our own love, mutually convinced, mutually reliable. Careless eyes, lips, and hands to miss. Now, which is the verb? Care is the verb. And which is subject? We. So we, all our love. Again, the whole stanza, I said, is very problematic and ambiguous for the first phrase of this stanza. What is the first phrase? We by love. So the subjects are obviously both we and our love. Everything applies to these two subjects. It may be we care less to miss our eyes, our lips, and our hands. Another interpretation. Our love care less to miss our eyes, our lips, our hands. So we don't care. Our love doesn't care. If care, we care less. We care less means we least care. We least are bothered about our eyes, our lips, our hands. These three terms, eyes, lips, and hands, are traditionally used in Elizabethan lyric, Petrarchan lyric, love sonnets to glorify the physical beauty. Donne dismisses that, as he has done in his previous stanza, that our love doesn't depend on physical sense. So we are not bothered, or we are least bothered about our eyes, about our lips, our hands. So even if we are absent, care less to miss. To miss means here, if we separate from this moment, obviously our bodies, our physical relations will be separated. But that doesn't mean anything. That should not bother us. So here, actually, John Donne asserting his mistress and Maud not to worry about the physical, absence of physical terms, absence of physical senses. So why? Because we are mutually convinced of each other. Now, actually, Donne is asserting, convincing that since we trust each other in our mind, with our love, and our love is so much refined that we should not do such thing, that is crying, mourning, and mourning what? Mourning our physical absence. Okay, so I think you have got the meaning of the whole of the fifth stanza. So I'd move on to the sixth stanza. Our two souls are therefore which are one, against paradoxical ideas. He says that we have two souls. Obviously, our souls are two. You have one, I have one. Which are one, but they are united. These two souls are united. I think this idea of two hearts being united into one heart, two souls being united into one, is again a recurring theme in Donne's poetry, in Donne's love lyrics. This stanza actually sets the prelude to the next stanza. It is very intensely connected with the next stanza. Though I must go. So, I must go means I must depart for my continental journey to Europe, or wherever I go, in universal sense. Endure not yet a breach. Endure is a verb. Endure means suffer. And which is a subject? The first sentence is the subject. The first line, our two souls, which are actually one, united into one, doesn't or don't suffer a breach. So even if we separate from each other in physical terms, this will not be a breach, this will not be a separation at all. So even if we physically separate, it will not be exactly a separation of the souls. So physically we may be separate from each other, we may separate from each other, but our souls will remain intact into one entity. Okay, so that's why he says our two souls, because these are united into one. How these are united? Go to the previous stanza. United by a refined love, united by a mutual love. So what will happen if I physically separate from you? but an expansion. It will be only an expansion. So it will not be a separation. It will not be a breach. It will be actually an expansion. Expansion of what? Expansion of their love. Expansion of their relation. Maybe. He says it will not diminish our love at all, but it will grow. It will grow means it will increase the strength of our love. Notice how he mingles the idea of separation with the idea of expansion. Both are paradoxical, contradictory. But what he wants to say is that if I separate from you, physically separate from you, it will test our love, and this test will strengthen our love, and this will inevitably, invariably extend our love, expand our love, increase our love, the strength of our love. So that's why he says it will be an expansion. But notice the next metaphor, the next conceit. Like gold to airy thinness beat. This is very interesting metaphor, or conceit rather. If we beat a gold, it becomes a sheet, a thin sheet, a thin leaf. And if you continue to beat it, the gold is, by its own nature, is so much flexible, soft, malleable, that it doesn't break, but it expands. It continues to expand. And while reading this, I am reminded by one of my science class during my school life, when my teacher used to say that if you beat just 1 gram of gold, it will cover the whole village. So we were surprised, how can a gram of gold, an iota of gold, can cover whole village? We couldn't understand them. But leave that aside. Actually, gold is by its own nature so much soft, very softest of the metal, very malleable metal, that if you beat it, it's a scientific fact. Again, he's amalgamating, he's mingling science with amorous relationship. So if you beat it, it will become very much thin, so thin that it will become airy. Notice the adjective, airy thinness. So, what will happen if we separate physically? This separation will be like the expansion of the golden sheet. The more you beat, the more away we are from each other, the more thin but airy it will become. The word air is very important. It suggests a kind of refinement suggested by the previous stanza. Our love will become much tested if we physically separate. The more separate physically we are, the more refined it will be, and the more airy it will be. Now the word airy also suggests some kind of divinity, some kind of angelic quality, that our love will become divine, our love will become like that of angels. So this conceit of the golden leaf or the golden sheet is very innovative and very appropriate, found by most of the critics. So the whole stanza rests on a paradox, that if we separate from ourselves, this separation will not be actually a separation. This will be an expansion of our love. It will increase our love. So I think you have got these two stanzas, and as I tried my best to explain it to you. So if you have any queries or doubts, please post it and send it to me through any channel, through any message, through WhatsApp, through email, and I will try my best to explain. Okay, so have a good day and be safe.